the education we're talking about today is more about self-education, something as an adult we choose to study. I'm not talking about the university degrees. I'm not talking about all those formal education. I'm sure we all have something that we say, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, what I would have been studied, or which area would have added to my life. So that's part of education I'm talking about today. So that's why if we get, again, familiar with the education and try to find the fun way to do things we always wanted to do, this is where the magic happens. This is where you see the money comes in and flows. Don't get me wrong, I still value my formal education, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to finish my higher education. But honestly, those education didn't help me for life. And the best part is, now I'm going to introduce you my guest. She is the edupreneur. She is the reason behind all of these education things that I'm talking about. Her name is Sarah Cordiner. Sarah came to Western Australia in 2012 from UK. And in her own words, she is the live example of rags to riches. When she came to Australia, she didn't have any friends, no money, no phone, laptop, or even bed to sleep. But soon after that, just by applying her knowledge and her passion towards this education, so she built a business which actually she's been offered to buy her business for $3 million, but she turned it back. So without further ado, I would love to invite Sarah to the studio from a beautiful Broome up there in Western Australia to be with us and share with us her tips.
I believe that just like any good business, just like any good product or service, there is a period of ongoing evolution and iteration that we go through. And the only way we can find our true calling in life, the only way we can really find what our thing is, what our true passion is, what our niche is if we just start somewhere. And I really remember when I first started learning how to do public speaking. And there was this real pressure on, what's my keynote presentation going to be? What's my thing going to be? And it's funny because I had been working as a professional educator for at least 7, 8, 9 years at that point. And it didn't occur to me that I already was doing my thing, but I just didn't see it. So I was thinking, what can I be? What's going to inspire people? What can be my special, amazing message for the world? And I just couldn't see it. And so for years, what I did is I just started sharing stuff with the world, like anything. I just started writing blogs on anything that I felt inspired to write about. If I read a book that moved me or inspired me or made me learn something in some way, I wrote a blog article about it and I shared it, or I did a live stream video about it, or I particularly went out and delivered a lot of free presentations at workshops, delivered a lot of free presentations at conferences. And what this did is it gave me an active live platform from which to play with who I am. It gave me a live, real taste to self-explore.
And now another question is that, obviously you mentioned in the beginning that you took a decision to stay away from business world for over a year. What lessons you learned through that time? And would you do it again?
Yes, definitely. It has been an incredible experience. I would never in my life, even so 2.5 years ago, if someone said to me in 6 months' time, you were going to be the youngest executive director of a university in Australia's history and you're going to be employed, I would have laughed my head off because I just wouldn't have believed it. I have been self-employed for well over 13 years. I've had employed positions and I'll share how in a moment. Throughout that time, but my business was extremely successful, and I had lots of business coming in, and to the rest of the world, it just looked like everything was perfect, and it was. So a lot of people were extremely surprised when I suddenly turned around to the world and said, I'm really sorry, but there's no enrollments open for my online school anymore. Everything's getting temporarily switched off because I'm taking on an employed position. People couldn't believe it. And I think there is a little bit of, how do I word it? In the entrepreneurial and business world, I think there's a lot of people who poo-poo employment. They sort of say, you know, you've got to be all in to win. You have to drop everything. If you're not all in on your business, then you're not committed enough. And actually, having spent the last 2 years in an executive position as an employee, I actually poo-poo back that poo-pooing, because having an employed position can bring a huge number of benefits to you in so many ways. So for me, I started my business when I was employed. I was actually a training manager back in the UK. And what that enabled me to do was, you know, I learned my field, I learned my industry, I learned my field of expertise. In my position as a training manager, I established myself some rapport and credibility in the industry. It gave me some status. It gave me the opportunity to create networks and build relationships that I may not have had access to if I'd just been a newbie in a startup in the self-employed sector. And it also importantly gave me that regular income that allowed me to be able to regularly invest in my business and build it up to a place where I wanted it to be. And in